How's it going? Tarun Reddy here, founder of Ready Media. So, I help a lot of construction companies get from that, $1 to $2 million range to 5 million plus a year in sales. And a lot of them in our conversations, they start off as, we want to invest in Facebook. We've tried it. It hasn't worked. We need more leads. We want to deal with people who are educated, who are ideal clients, and it's kind of the same story. And so I say, okay, you guys want to invest in Facebook ads. Now tell me, who do you have that's contacting the leads? How quickly do they do it? And what is the sales process like? And a lot of the times they say, sometimes if we're not busy, we call them back the same day, sometimes a couple days. Sometimes it's me calling the leads and I'm on job sites or whatever the case may be. That's what the owner tells me. And I say, if you're going to invest money into Facebook, you're putting in the raw ingredient to your pipeline, right? If this pipeline, meaning from how quickly you reach out to the leads, because if you called the leads instantly, the likelihood that they convert goes up exponentially. You're going to have 3 out of 5 people answer the phone versus if you text them or call them at a later point in time, 1 out of 5, right? And that makes a huge difference in how many people you end up actually going to their home and selling them a project. You can't skip and just try and run Facebook ads and then say they don't work. You really have to have a process of like, okay, we're going to text the lead immediately. We're going to set up some automation so that when a lead reaches out, boom, they immediately get acknowledged and they say they're going to get a phone call from this person as soon as they can. And if they have any questions, let them know. And this is the call that the number is going to come from. So the likelihood that they answer because they recognize the phone number also increases the likelihood. So that's the first step. Then the second step is, okay, once I get them on the phone, what is my process, my checklist? And we go through the closer framework, which is like clarify why they're there. So, hey, I saw you reached out on this ad. Tell me a little bit about what you were trying to do. Label them with the problem, right? Overview their past experiences, sell the vacation, enforce the decision, and then reinforce the decision by passing them off to an onboarding process. And so going back to L, it's like you label them with the problem. Okay, so I know that your home, is 20 years old and it's a little outdated, and you want to be able to have impress your guests when they come. Is that right? And you're just basically saying what they're saying, and you're labeling them with some sort of problem that they can be like, yes, I have that problem. Okay, then you overview what they've done in the past or who they've reached out to and what their biggest concerns are. And you basically ask that so that they feel understood. Then you take that and you sell the vacation. So it's like, look, these are your concerns. I can solve this problem. Your guests will be like, wow, your house is amazing. Like, you have to describe it as you're selling the vacation. You're not just going to say, hey, we're gonna upgrade your home. We're going to put in new cabinets. Like, it's hard for them to understand that. And so, again, you want to have this whole process. And I'm just giving you some examples, but the more efficient that process is and the more repeatable it is, and it has to be repeatable because that's how you get a consistent outcome. And so if it's willy-nilly, it's not the same process, it's hard to improve it, which is what most companies do. They just kind of call the lead and every call is different, which is terrible from a hiring perspective, from a consistency perspective. Like, you want to reverse engineer, like, what is the perfect first phone call I can have? And what do the steps look like? What are the milestones in that conversation? And then basically just force that conversation every time. And the likelihood that that turns into a sale goes up significantly. The whole moral of the story is, look, there's a lot of ways your company can get more leads, okay? The issue is you have to be willing to do what it takes, and you have to have the mindset of, I'm not just going to pay for, I'm going to pay money on Facebook and Instagram and all of a sudden I'm going to get leads, or I'm going to pay money on Google and I'm going to get leads. It is, if I'm going to spend the money on getting leads, how can I make sure that the process is effective at converting leads into paying customers? And you can't skip. You can't do one or the other. You have to do both at the same time. Okay? I can't emphasize that enough. You have to do both at the same time. If not, you're either going to have this perfect process that not enough leads are coming in, so like it's all hypothetical and you're not making money, or you're going to have a bunch of leads and then no system to actually close these leads, and so you're going to be spending tons of money but not making any more money because you're not able to convert them. And so it's a yin and yang. And I know I'm kind of ranting, and I get just passionate about these things because I hear these conversations, and I just know, like, there's no way you're going to get to $5 million a year without doing the basics every single time at a high level. And it goes down to, like, even just owning the neighborhoods you're in. Like, a lot of these companies that, it's like, how many homes are you doing by zip code? And you could look at it as like, I'm going to sell as many projects in the zip codes that I want, and you can actually limit the geographical area and get to a couple $1,000,000 just by focusing, like the yard signs, the mailers, the door knocking, like, sending mailers to specific homes and neighborhoods because that neighborhood is all stucco, right? Or understanding like the weather conditions and what the homes are like and what problems they may have, and targeting, like, those are the things that separate really smart, efficient companies versus the ones that are like, they're just looking at marketing as like extremely transactional. It's going to be really hard to compete. It's going to be really hard to compete because people are so skeptical, and if you're a small company, they've probably never heard of your brand. Again, I'm a big believer, not spending money on marketing is like stopping your watch to save time. It doesn't make any sense. But if you're going to spend money on marketing, you need to do it right. I may lose money, but I'm going to do everything in my power in the beginning to make sure that I'm learning and I'm improving it so that eventually it stops losing money. And now you have this system that will keep your machine moving forward, because at the end of the day, sales is the oxygen, cash flow is the oxygen of every business. So anyway, I hope that this was valuable in some way. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments and I'll be happy to answer them. And also check out www.readymediasolutions. We have a bunch of free tools for contractors and construction companies to see projections. We have a 7-day trial and also tons of free resources and case studies on there. So go check it out, and if you have any questions, let me know. Peace.